So it's been a couple of weeks since I did the first part of this video, and the results were a lot more crystals than what we had gotten previously. Because before it was about 20 to 50 crystals for the month, 1,000 crystals each for assisting in 5 Fenrir and 1,000 for assisting in 1 Draculia, Nightmare versions, and then 250 for assisting 10 times, 25 crystals each. So you can see I actually have, today's the 29th, end of the month is tomorrow. So I've obtained 6,000 crystals, which is close to 3 times what I had. So 3 of us had taken the easy level, and we all completed all of the tasks. So all these got checked off and we got the 4,500 total that were possible. And one of us had been dinking around with the penalties here. And what I saw originally was that you would have like an extra 5 to your cap for your monthly lock crystals, but actually you can also get this 5% nightmare crystals gained. I don't recall seeing anything else, but I didn't actually notice this the first time around. It wasn't until I was seeing weird numbers that I questioned where it came from. So I don't know if this bonus is randomly determined or if it goes with the particular penalty. And one person was playing with his the penalties activating and then refreshing, so he might have actually been fighting with a penalty and gotten the bonus 5%, even though he had like refreshed it, so that it should have needed to be activated again. So that's something I'm not really sure how that works. But we did see when you fight your own monster, so like on the Nightmare Fenrir, which I had summoned it and fought, once you kill a monster, if you did the 45 million damage, then you'll get the 1,000 Nightmare Crystals. The same for the Draculia, after you defeat it, you'll get the crystals. And the 6,000 also includes 250 for summoning one of each monster, and the 250 for the 10 assists, which makes me wonder, I should be off 4,500 plus 1,000 is 55. Plus I got 500, that's 6,000. So maybe this 6,000 did not include the 250 from the 10 assists. But I did see participate and summon on this easy level. I summoned the boss and then I joined into my own boss to fight it, and these were both checked off from that one monster. And consuming stamina, I think this started at 200. What the heck? me see this. So I did all the easy stuff. Okay, so this is kind of odd. When I look at the difficulty for the medium, it shows how many checks I have for that level of difficulty. So I could have gotten all the credit for assisting with slaying. So this was up to 750 million on somebody else's monster, and the 10 assists. But I did not have any debuffs active. So even though I did over 450 million damage, I did not get this credit, or would not have gotten this credit. Because I didn't do this level, I don't get any of these things. So then let's look at the hard level. Okay, so I only got the siege assist 10 times. I did not meet the damage requirements. But let's go back. What I was going to say, double check on this. Refresh siege. Okay, yeah, because I did this the refresh at the start, and I got this participate at the start. The consume 800 stamina. This was credited as I used it. So I don't remember, but I think it was like 200, 400, and then finally 800 stamina. Or maybe it was like 400, 600, 800. I don't recall precisely. But each time I got Nightmare Crystals, 1,000 for the last level of it. But when you go to the medium level, some of these you got credit for at the end, and some you got credit for during the middle of it. So you might have gotten credit for this debuff when you hit the damage point. And then on the assist, you get the credit at the end. But you should know that you had to do 750 million damage to get credit for all three of these levels. But that could have been on one of the Nightmare Fenrirs, for instance, because you need to do like 812 million or more damage to get the 90% or 99% chance drop for the legendary item. So you could do all this in just one monster. Right, because you get credit for all three of them for just the one monster, and then you would also have gotten credit for the 450 million for one debuff being active from just the one monster. And the we only ended up doing three monsters between us, and it was all the easy level players that ended up fighting their own monsters, because the medium and the hard levels required assisting in somebody else's nightmare monster and not fighting in your own in order to get credit with the assists and fighting with the debuffs. Well, maybe the fighting with the debuff would have counted anyways. So the player on the hard or the medium level, sorry, we only had so this was consumed 3,000 crystals. He's not actually consumed 3,000 crystals at this point. I don't know if he will. If he gets reshape stone, that would be enough to trigger this and then get another 1,000. So it would effectively be 2,000 nightmare crystals to get. Let's look here. Nightmare rare. No one wants the rare one. So epic reshape stone. 3,000. So if he were to buy this, then he would get his credit. effectively getting this for 2,000, or he could get the legendary, effectively get it for 8,000. But one thing to note with these reshape stones, you can't reshape crystals that are in an item that are forged to it. So like if I have this Fire Pierce item in a sword, and then if it changed to a Earth resistance gem, then it could no longer be in the sword because the sword only allows the offensive um, chaos gems in it. So they force you to unbind all the crystals before you can reshape them. Which is, I guess it's kind of a necessary evil, I guess. Otherwise, you would have to automatically lock this first slot and require you to use um, two, well, in this case, five of the lock stones, because you would be prohibited from changing it to something that's not allowed. And there were some issues that came up with this, like you could have Fire Pierce and then physical resistance together, and I guess that's not supposed to be allowed. But with the reshape, it does work. You can do it. Um, maybe that will get changed. So potentially he could get this. And on the hard level player, he completed everything except getting the 10 reshape blackstones or using them. So we had 6 from fighting monsters. I don't remember the cutoff, 120 million or 210 million. But there were 6. He could have used 4 of them somewhere, and then he would get another 1,000 crystals. But he did get this first one. You start out with 800 million damage required on a boss. I believe this is a single boss. So that was 2,000 crystals. If you go to the next level, because there's 2, it's 1.5 million damage. That was another, I think, 3,000. Um, so what, because we fought different monsters, he didn't know these capital. So he ended up doing over 800 million in one Fenrir. And then, um, he could have actually just done 1.5 million in one Fenrir, because it would have counted just like with the medium level. Right, let's do all this damage, and he could have gotten credit for all of it in just 1.5 million. But he ended up only doing 820 million or something like that. And then he had to go back into 1.5 billion in a second one to get another 3,000. And just hitting for that much damage could take a half hour, because you got hit, refill, hit, refill, hit, refill, hit, refill. Either going to the Oracle and doing your refills, or quaffing full stand potions, like he did in his case. So it would have been better just to do one Nightmare Fenrir, 1.5 billion damage in it, getting all his credit from just that one monster, because otherwise he's got to do 800 million and then another 1.5 billion and another monster, which is 2.3 billion total damage. It would have been better to do 1.5 billion and one, and then go into like 2 Nightmare Draculias and doing 450 million damage in each, because that would give you the 99% chance for the epics in those, or the legendaries in those monsters. So he would have got credit, 3 different monsters, 3 legendaries, and his total damage done would have been a little bit lower. He would have to do more on one of them. Or would he? 1.5 billion, then he needs another 500 million. No, so he would have been good. 3 monsters, he could have got his 2 billion damage in. Versus, just getting like 2 Nightmare Fenrirs, one with 800, one with 1.5 billion, only 2 legendary drops. So that wasn't very useful. On the other hand, for the total of the crystals, all the easy ones got 6,000 or a little bit more because of the 5% bonus. And the medium difficulty, also the 6,000 includes the 1,000 for the fighting our own monsters. Otherwise, it would have been like 5,000 something. And the medium one only got 6,000 because he did not actually fight one of his own monsters. So that's 1,000 less crystals. And he failed to get the second level of, or I should say the one case of using 3,000 Nightmare crystals, which he might still end up doing. So he could end up with 7,000. And the player on the hard level, he had over 9,000. It's like 9,300, no, 9,700 crystals. A lot of that, I mean, he didn't fight his own monster, so he didn't get the 1,000 from that, because that would have been like 10,000. But when you do this first assess, this was 5,000 crystals combined, and then you get another 3,000 from your debuff because he had these debuffs active. I guess you don't really have to do that if you don't want to get these extra crystals, or I should say you don't want to have to do the extra work to get those extra crystals. But in his case, he did. He got the 3,000 plus 1,000 for the siege, 4,000 plus the 5,000 total for the assist, so 9,000, and then he got extra 5%, so he ended up with 9,700, which was the most of all of this. So if you're looking for the difficulties, and I should say, those of us on the easy level both were able to summon both monsters. The guy on the medium and the guy on the hard only summoned one monster, so they lost out 250 each. And Meteorite started in the middle of the month. That's part of the reason why they weren't able to summon a second one. Because the 3 of us with the easy ones that fought our monsters and made them public, those all died. And then they had the cooldown period, and then we were able to summon again. But because we started so late in the month, and the Nightmare Fenrir, most monsters The early bosses and the serpents and the dragons were like 2-3 days, and then they changed to the 1 week standard for all of the monsters. But the Nightmare Fenrir is actually a 9-day monster. So that might make the cooldown longer. I'm not positive, but I do know that if you're going for the gold on it um, for your speed kill, you actually have 3 days to do it. Because I guess it's not, it doesn't take the um, total duration and then subtract 24 hours from it, say, oh, now you're in gold. It actually is looking at um, a fixed time that's remaining. So I don't know if they'll change it at some point, but you get 3 days to do the speed kill on the Nightmare Fenrirs. But the meteorite event, you need something to hit, so you can use your stamina and get your meteorite pieces. And so it's good to have something really big like the Nightmare Fenrir to fight, or even the Nightmare Draculia, which is like 425 million, give or take, to get the 99% chance of getting your legendaries, versus the 812 or more for the Nightmare Fenrir. So if if you're just farming the Nightmare crystals, it seems like easy is pretty basic, because you can, summon, then jump into your own monster, dump 800 stam on it, do this refresh and assist in 10 monsters, and then you'll get your 4,500 crystals, plus you would get 250 for summoning and another 250 for all your assists. So if you don't want to put a lot of effort into this, because these are difficult monsters to fight, that's a good way of doing it. But if there's an event coming up and you know there's an event coming up, like for instance the anniversary event, then you may want to go to the hard level, just so you can dump massive amounts of stamina on something. Do your 1.5 billion to get both levels of the assists, and then get into another monster and try getting another 3,000 when you have your debuffs. And yeah, you probably want to have your debuff active when you do this 1.5 billion, because it's harder to get the 2 billion, but or your 1.5 billion, but then you only have to do another 500 million to get credit for this one. The medium difficulty didn't turn out to be better for this time around, but that was only because not fighting. He didn't get to fight his own monster to get the extra 1,000. Because we did end up fighting in 3 of them, um, and he got credit for the assist. He could do that in just one monster, then hit his own monster to get the um, get credit for it, because the assists were up to 750 million in the one monster. So he would have passed that and then to his own. So that would have worked out. The question is, where are you going to plan for it? And if you're not planning to actually hit the monsters and kill them, then the easy level is much better. But if you know you're going to hit them, then you should maybe do the hard one, because there's an event. So then it's like, well, maybe at the start of the month you just go and you summon Draculia because you don't know what's going to happen and it's going to time out faster because it's 7 days, and then the cooldown period after it flees, which could be 3, 4 days. I'm not entirely certain. Instead of the Fenrir with the 9 days and then the cooldown after that. So in the middle of the month, then you could summon um, the Fenrir, and then it could, if you don't fight it, it'll just flee, and you have the cooldown, and then you can start over again the next month without having to do any big battles. One thing to note is previously, when I jump in a monster, and I have a bunch of them here that I've jumped into, like my own. So I just did 10 energy. Um, because it's mine, I know I'm not going to fight it. I did not do a click on the siege. And then I did the click for the Nightmare siege, which I have completed 10 of 10. But you could see on this one, I went and I actually clicked once on the regular siege. And I'm losing my train of thought here. Oh yes, I was gonna say, right, so I did 10 energy. I gotta do that 10 times, so that's 100 energy that I use, and that's what it was previously too. To get credit for your 10 assists, there'll be, yeah, before the old version you do 10 assists, but you only have like 2 separate quests. You'd only need to do 6 to get full credit for those quests, which is kind of weird. But now I do that 100 energy plus I summon twice, 150 each time, so 300 energy summoning plus 100 energy joining these monsters. So I've actually used 400 energy in the process of getting the 6,000 crystals. And if I didn't use that much, I'd lose 500 from the summons and up to 250 from the assists, plus another 1,000 for not doing the assist thing. So that's 1,750 crystals less I would have got to not use energy. So if you don't have a lot of energy, and I actually have 5,000 of it at my limit, then you could choose not to do the summons. At this point, I don't know if it's actually worth doing it or not doing it. Also, this other 1,000 crystals, I wouldn't have gotten that if I didn't do a summon at least one time for defeating my own monster. So that's, 2,750 crystals. That's almost half of it. So, I don't know. Maybe it's worth it. I mean, slow down your quests or your essence mining, whatever you're working on. But, mining the nightmare crystals, maybe you'll end up wanting to buy soul fragments or eggs or, the reshape stones in the future. So, in the long run, you may really have wanted to have been doing this the whole time, just to max out your crystals. So that's basically what I've seen after fighting the nightmare monsters in this new system. Um, I, if I could have gotten the second monster and fought it, I just summoned it 2 days ago so I could get credit for the summons and to the assist. So not planning to kill it, especially with 2 days left. So So if you do the easy, it was like 6,000 crystals if you do all of it, and fight your own monster. On the medium, it could also be 6,000 crystals if you don't get everything done. If you don't fight your monster because you're assisting on somebody else's, and then on the hard level, 9,700 crystals if you're working hard at it, because it does take a lot of stam to fight these, especially when you have all these penalties, and you may not have enough piercing, or you may not have enough divine power to get through all the defenses. So let's look quick here. 850 divine, bunch of resistance, 700 piercing resistance. So I don't have 700 piercing, I know that. I have the 850 divine power, Draculia, 1,000 divine armor, I can do that. 600 piercing, again, I do not have that. So even though I'm a level of 1600, I still can't get past all of these defenses that it has. So, and also I don't have the blood contracts for this. I only have 5 so far. So that's another 10% damage that I'm losing out on. And then you got pads come up twice in here. And the Fenrir, I don't remember. You got if you fight in order, pause, heart, and then the soul. I think at some point, then you have your normal damage is down, but they give bonus to your crit damage. So then you're wanting your race buffs, crit bonus to be higher. So these are very difficult, kind of elder games kind of monsters for people who've been playing for a long time, so they have something to work on. And the difficulties, the extra nightmare crystals, if you're farming, that's convenient. So if you have a penalty that you don't care about, and then you still get more crystals from it, then maybe you could pick that, even if you're on the easy. Especially if you're not actually going to actually kill anything. Just go and dump 800 stam, but you do want the 1,000 for killing your own monster, maybe. So, things to think about. Hopefully, you can find it useful. Certainly, you could get over 5,000 crystals a month without actually fighting anything, but then you're still going to have to use 800 stam and 400 energy if you're doing all these summons and assists. So, up to everyone to decide, is it good or is it not good? So hopefully this is useful.